gentlemen, welcome to episode 68 of Petey's Awesome Guest Panel. Now, before we introduce tonight's special guest star, let me introduce you to tonight's special guest co-host, Mr. Kwame Jacobs.
What's up?
Good to see you, Mr. Kwame.
Thanks. I've always wanted to do this. This is my first time.
Oh, you're gonna do great, man. So,
yeah. Thank you.
It's awesome to have you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Hey.
First time. Everyone's telling me I'll do great, and I'm going to enjoy this.
Now let's meet tonight's guest star. It's not only a Power Ranger star, but also one of the most multi-talented, most charismatic, and pretty much a jack of all trades when it comes to acting. My guest is this time is Mr. Alan Palmer. Alan, welcome, sir. How are you today?
Thank you, Peter. I'm very good. I'm glad to be here. Hi, Kwame. Nice to meet you as well.
Hey.
Now, before we get to the Power Ranger questions, Alan, I do have like a couple preliminary questions. Pardon me. And that is, and this is gonna be your typical cliche question, and that is, how did you get your first start into acting? Take me there.
Oh, wow. I started very young. I started as a child actor, saw a production of Peter Pan and with my mother and said, gosh, I want to do that. And so I started doing community theater productions and slowly became a professional actor. Probably gosh, I would date myself if I said some of the movies that I did. But yeah, I've been doing this for a very long time and I've loved every minute of it. I can't imagine doing anything but.
Awesome. And you know what makes this episode very special, aside from like your awesome special talent of like acting, sir?
Huh.
That this is actually the first episode being streaming live on Facebook too.
That's awesome.
So this is just a very cool episode. Next question I had for you is talk about your memories of your audition in Power Rangers.
Wow, my audition was pretty easy. I was directing a production of a show called Inaccurate Information that was written by Jeffrey Bowman and was produced by Katie Wallen, who was the casting director for Power Rangers. And we happened to be rehearsing in Katie's office, and she said, "Hey, you wouldn't want to audition for this new show called Power Rangers, would you?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. What the heck?" She goes, "I can only get you in the door. I can't really hire you, but I can at least introduce you to the people." So I went into the casting office and read for them, and by the time I got home, I was hired. So it was a pretty quick turnaround. I didn't even know anything about the Power Rangers at the time because it just had started airing. So the momentum wasn't there yet. So it was very cool to be able to go onto the set and to be able to shoot and meet new friends and lifelong friends, which is crazy. And continuing to find new people. I didn't really know Sabrina was part of the Power Ranger legacy until she came and auditioned for me for a show. So kind of crazy.
Interesting. Kwame, you had a question, right?
Oh yeah, I did. Hang on. Oh yeah. My question is, like you said, since Power Rangers was airing, did you have like a favorite, like how do I say this? I mean, while it was like airing, did you have a favorite Power Ranger?
Well, of course, me. No, no. No, you know what? Every single one of them had their own special talents and gifts, and what's great about it is to meet them at these cons and realize that we're all part of this legacy, and how incredibly kind every single solitary one of them are. I'm so humbled to be around them and to be able to get to know them more and more each time we go to these conventions. It's really fun. So I have to say everybody.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
Very cool. I have to ask you this too, and this I gotta get your thoughts on this. Some say that because that the Alien Ranger the Alien Rangers segued from Mighty Morphin to Xeno, and some say they consider it to be a mini series. What do you consider it to be, a mini series?
Well, I guess in the fact that we didn't get a full season, but yeah, because we were in between two seasons. But I consider us to be our own little entity in itself, but and still part of the original Power Rangers series because we were in the ending part of the original group. So it's a tough one to, we kind of, I say we're the bastard children that just end up getting pushed into the corner a lot of times. But you know what, we love being part of it, and we love the fans that have embraced us and have really liked these episodes that we did. We really love shooting them.
Cool. Kwame, you had another question?
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, remember last time. Since it was like a mini series, out of the 10 episodes, do you have a favorite one?
I do, and it has to do with the episode where we were eating ice cream. It was such a fun day, and we were out at Castaic Lake shooting. It was hot as all get out, and they started saying, "Here, we're going to give you popsicles," and they were like, "How many do you want?" And I said, "Oh, it would be really funny if I had 6 popsicles that I was eating, like all the different flavors and trying to hold on to them all." And I thought it would be really funny until by the end of the day, I had eaten so many of those dang popsicles because you had to keep shooting over and over and over, and they would put it through. Finally, at the end, I was just spitting out popsicles because I got so sick of eating them all. But it was such a fun day out there shooting. And what's funny is our costumes were made out of velvet, and they weren't waterproof. And what's funny is obviously everything we shot was in water, so they didn't hold up very well. They'd have to put these plexiglass boxes out onto the lake, and they would walk us out to where we would stand in the water, because we actually shot in water. And so that way we looked like we were kind of levitating in the water. It was very cool, but obviously the costumes didn't hold up as well.
I have to ask you, Alan. And this is gonna sound like a nerd asking this question. I'm gonna sound very nerdy asking this. What was the catering scene like on Power Rangers?
Oh wow, it was interesting because most of our episodes were shot off campus, meaning we weren't actually on Saban Entertainment property. We would shoot at different locations, and so we'd have like a food truck that would come in and not like the traditional food trucks that are now, but they would actually cater our meals. They were good, the thing about lunches and that sort of thing is that we got to spend time together, and we actually got to talk during those times. When we were on set, obviously we were professional and weren't speaking, we were listening for the director's instructions. And so meal times, my memory of mealtime there was great because of being able to speak with the other Rangers and be able to, just associate with each other.
I see.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Now you also done work on Xeno, Warrior Princess.
I actually have not. We have 2. It's so interesting. There's an Australian actor who did that. He's probably, I'm gonna say he's like 20 years older than I am. And then I also get mistaken for a writer who's like 99 right now, and he's a British writer. So it's funny how these people all get together. I'm like, I'm not that old. I'm old, not that old.
You're not old. You're not old.
You're not.
You're not.
You don't.
Bless you and thank you.
You don't look a day over 20.
You don't, man. Honestly, you don't.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
No, but so I didn't do Xena, but I would have loved to have done that. And it was shot in Australia. This is moving. I don't know why.
Oh.
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Well, did you appear? I'm curious to know. Did you appear? You appeared in Shortland Street, right?
and that's the Australian dude. So he did all those things. They don't put my stuff up. I've been trying to get the IMDb's to take them away, but then they're deleting all my other stuff as well. So it's really crazy. I've got like 3 IMDb's out there and trying to get them so that they will get the other guy off mine.
Yeah.
All right.
Usually, because I'm a union actor, usually they don't allow anyone else in the union to be able to use that name again. And I guess because it's an Australian actor, that's the reason why they keep doing that. They keep adding me onto things.
Oh, I see. And I gotta get your opinion though, as an actor though, like given a scenario though, like you and an actor, like where you're in a scene where you and the person that you're doing a scene with have a heated argument, and then they have to make, in the scene, you make that character cry. And like I want to know, like, what kind of methods would you do, like, to help really get into, like, being this heated character? So I just want to know, like, what would be some of, like, like methods or like techniques you would do to help prep yourself into a role like that?
Yeah, everyone has their own natural techniques. Once you get the rhythm down, you kind of find what's organically right for you. I've seen people do onions before a scene where they had to cry. It comes naturally for me to cry. I get out of Alan's skin for just a second and become whoever that character is. It's so fun to immerse yourself into these characters and to kind of disappear for a moment. It's almost it's incredible. Once you've found that place in acting, you never want to go back. You never want to be yourself. If Peter were acting right now, he wouldn't want to be Peter playing a character. He'd want to be that character, right? So it becomes extremely easy to, and sometimes scarily, you get so immersed into a character that it's hard to get out of it after that for a little bit.
Oh,
There's certain characters that I've completely become drained from, and then other characters that would seem like they're draining characters that actually give you energy. It's really a strange business, but it's lovely.
it is.
Quite the experience,
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is.
Yeah.
It is. And one of my favorite scenes that you did in Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers was when I believe this was your first appearance too, when you had the encounter with Goldar and Rito, and then you did the hand, and then you made like this wind gust and you got them away, and then you meet up with the kids of Mighty Morphin, and they're like younger. So I just want to get your memory of shooting that particular film, particular scene.
Fail.
I think it was like a I wish it were a film. No, we were out in a stone quarry, and we were on a ledge. I remember that, and we shot down. Gosh, it's so crazy to think. Oh, one of the things I remember about that episode is we had an assistant director that spoke English and Japanese, I believe, and then we had a director that spoke German and Japanese. And then so what would happen is the director would speak German to the assistant director who spoke German and Japanese. The Japanese, German and Japanese person would speak Japanese to a person that spoke Japanese and English, and then it would be translated to us. It was so crazy. So it was like this telephone thing. If somebody were, have you ever played telephone before, where somebody tells you a secret and then you
it changes it around.
Yeah. I know, it's like Chinese whispers.
Exactly. So at the end of it, it ends up not being exactly what So the director would go forever, and then the next he would go down, and finally, but when it got to the person that would talk to us, he would go, "He wants you to stand there." I was like, that came to, he wants you to stand there. That's all he wants. And so it was a very funny time. It was so incredibly interesting because you wanted to to honor all these people that are working with you and helping you get to the best product that you can possibly do. Very cool.
Totally agree. And can I tell you before I ask the next question? Can I tell you one of those telephone that I've heard one time?
Yeah.
So aside from being a huge Power Ranger fan, I'm a huge fan of The Simpsons, and it was. Oh, thank you. So you'll probably get this one. So like Bart, the character Bart on the show, goes up to one of the teachers at the school because I think there was a strike or something, a teacher strike or whatever, and he goes, "Hey, he says Skinner got the teachers a crack any minute." And then once it reaches to the head of the union teacher in that episode, he goes, "Skinner said the teachers will crack any minute. Purple monkey dishwasher." So you see how it changed. So like how the words change.
That's funny. That's funny. I can't remember if it's Lisa or Bart. Is Bart played by a girl?
Yes, Nancy.
Yeah. Yes,
Nancy.
girl.
Yeah. So Nancy, I almost bought her house in Los Angeles. We almost did, but she had this weird clause in her. Her house was really cool, but it was all Simpson colors. It had like the yellow and blues in the house, and it was a really cool house, but we didn't want pink and blue and yellow in our house. But there was like stipulations that you couldn't paint over it outdoors. So that's the reason why we ended up not buying her property. Kind of weird. Anyway, 6 degrees.
Of course, working with memories and working with your fellow Alien Rangers, Raja, Karim Prince, David Bacon, and Jim Gray.
Absolutely, all of them amazing people, incredible people. I become really good friends with Raja. We had so much in common. We were stage actors as well, and so we ended up sharing the love of that. We have a lot of British influences that we love, and so we've been really close friends for 25 years now. It seems like yesterday, but it's gone so fast. And I loved all the others as well. I was able to have lunch with David just recently. I've talked to Jim Gray over the phone, and Kareem, I was lucky to be able to do the last Morphicon, or the time before, I guess, Morphicon with him. So it's been kind of neat. And this is the first time we're going to be able to be in the same room together since we shot this thing.
So cool.
Okay.
So cool.
So wait, I'm literally terrible at names. The one that you just spoke of,
Kareem?
No, your close
David,
friend.
Raja.
Is he hang on, let me think. Is he the Red Ranger?
It's the Red Ranger.
That's right.
Yeah.
Also, is it true? Titus, right? The Yellow Ranger?
Yeah, Jim Gray.
Yeah. I was doing a bit of research yesterday so I can be ready for this. Is it true Titus is the strongest out of the Alien Rangers? Because it said so.
Well, they say that he's the strongest and Raja is the leader, but truthfully, I'm the strongest and the leader. So no, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Everyone would kind of like disagree. Everyone has their own thoughts and things. I think he might be, but I feel like I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I don't know about that. I know that we each have our own special powers, right?
Yeah.
And I think that everyone is strongest in whatever area that they're in. But I think, like, for instance, my character didn't talk very much. So
because he's the quietest.
Yeah, but he's the thinker, and he's also the one that's observing constantly and taking in that information and processing. So I feel like he's the one that they would go to if they needed advice on something. Even though you would think that it would be Raja, it would be Delphine, the leader. But it is. Now, I correct me if I'm wrong. In like the Japanese footage, the Red Ranger is actually like second in command, almost over Raja, correct?
Wait, hang on.
Is that true, Kami?
Hold on, let me think. I know my Super Sentai very well. Can't talk. If the three of us are not mistaken, there were moments in the series Kaku Ranger that Sasuke, Red Ranger, he did take point as leader, and White Ranger Sumihine, I don't know if I'm saying her name right. There were moments where she did lead the pack. I'd say it's either one of them, but it's mostly Sasuke who leads it. I'd say the White Ranger's second in command. But as for Delphine, she's the first female Power Ranger to actually lead.
Yes.
You know, Jen, You know Jen from Time Force? Would we say she's second? She's second.
I was
she's
just
the
about to
second.
say that. Kwame, you're right.
Yeah.
It's so great to be able to have these leaders, you know, these female leaders. It's empowering for a lot of reasons, because, you know, it shows that this male-dominated society is opening up and not being so sexist, and, you know.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Saban has always been an equal opportunity employer. So, you know, there was always kind of blind casting with the characters, which I completely admire as well. And at the time, it wasn't so they weren't so LGBTQ plus friendly. But
I get that.
but they're getting there now, and you know, and you know, there's the times change, and people are more willing to open up and be, you know, open to everyone. And I think that's what's so cool about the Ranger Legacy. It's an amazing one, and I think it reaches everyone out there, you know.
Yeah. We have a couple more questions before we conclude, Alan. One of the questions was that the costume design, of course, both your Ranger form and, of course, your non-Ranger form with the mask. What was your thoughts on both costumes, and did you have any input on it?
We had absolutely zero input on it, and because it was such a quick turnaround, gosh, I believe the day after we were cast, we ended up going to the special effects company and having the bust put on to our face, you know, the plaster bust put on, so that they could make a form of our heads to do the alien ones. Gosh, it was such a quick turnaround. I think that day or the next day we went into costume fittings, and they were actually sewing us that, you know, so quickly. So we really had zero say on, you know, anything that we wore. But you know, it ended up being really cool, and I wish I would have been able to take some of the costumes. If I would have known that they were just getting rid of them, I would have asked if I could have one. We each had two individual ones made, so they could have done without one, even if they were chucking them.
Oh, okay. But how was the mask though? The mask wasn't too tight, right?
The mask was good for me. For Raja, it was a different story, and I think it ended up being tighter than they wanted because of her hair. You know, they put it up into a ponytail, and to pull it through this little hole that they had made on top, she couldn't really take it off during takes. She could pull it up just a little bit, but it was so hard to get in and out of that ponytail. Her hair was so thick that she had to kind of wear it all the time. I felt badly for her because she was kind of the miserable one.
I feel bad for her now. Now that you're on how you're describing it, I feel bad for her even more. But for the rest of you guys, it's just a piece of cake.
Yeah, just pulling it up. We could just set it on our heads or take it off if we wanted to in between takes. Yeah, and it was funny when they were first doing makeup for the actual alien faces. They wanted to match up the gold and the purple that's in the masks themselves, so that it would look like it kind of all blended in. And so we were in the makeup chair the first couple of days for, gosh, a couple of hours. And then what ended up happening was it never read on camera. So they were like, screw it. We'll just do a little bit here, a little bit there, and call it a day. Because it never read on camera. I don't know why. It was beautiful. If you saw it in person, it looked really cool. The makeup artists were incredible and lovely people. They were really great to work with as well.
Very, very cool. And I have to ask before Kwame, you ask before you ask your next question, Kwame. I have another one for Alan, and that is
The
sorry.
popo.
Uh-oh. They're
Oh,
here to
no.
get you.
That's
Oh
what
no!
it's live, everybody. This is what happens on live TV.
All of a sudden, Peter disappears.
He got Thanos.
Live television, folks. Now the question was, do you have any funny behind the scenes stories while shooting Mighty Morphin Alien Rangers?
Oh man, I'm trying to think of any.
Oh yeah.
Wow, good question. It's a tough one. It's I remember hanging backstage, so we'd have to get there about 5:36 in the morning, and we would get into costume and makeup and all that stuff, and then we would go to our little dressing rooms and wait for a good 3 hours until it was time to be brought onto set, because they would be setting up and the crew would get there early and set up as well. And so we all kind of would sit around and play games and, you know, talk and stuff like that. And I remember Jim Gray used to do the funniest dances. If you ever talk to him or have him on, you have to have him do, he would do like the Running Man, and he would do the sprinkler and all, you know, all these kind of crazy dances that were super funny. But I remember laughing at him a lot. He was such a funny man, and I'm so happy that we actually found him, because we actually had the wrong Jim Gray. One of the fans had sent us a Jim Gray and said, "Hey, it's him," and I was like, I don't think that's him. It looks a little bit like him, but it's not him, and I think he's too old. But he's a British rock star over in England, but I'm so glad that they found him, because I've kind of communicated with him as well. Kind of a nice, cool guy, but Jim Gray's completely opposite of this guy, and so anyway, he's a really cool guy. I think you would get a kick out of him, and you have to make him do the Running Man if you ever.
Oh, we will. We
Yes.
will.
Kwame, any final question?
Actually, yeah, I've got 3 of them.
Sure.
All right. Let's see. You know, and okay, it's
You look
kind
like
of-
you're gonna.
Kwame, make sure the questions are nice. This is a live TV, man. Be
No,
nice.
don't
He
worry.
looks like
It's
he's
okay.
accusing me. He's accusing me of
Relax.
something.
That's okay. That's okay. All right. It's kind of a Power Rangers Zeo question. You know the team up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I'm curious, what was it like to actually be back as Corcus again?
Well, it's a really cool thing that we did. I did a some television show. I wish I could find what this was, because it was so random. This guy did a kind of a spin-off of the Aliens and Power Rangers and stuff, and we ended up in the studio. He had made the costume and helmet for me and everything, and it was fun to be back in that character again, but it felt lonely because I wasn't with my other Rangers.
Oh.
But it was so random, because I had my lines down, but the way that I learn lines is I'm organically reading off of whoever is reading with me. So if they're in the moment and in the flow of it, I find out what their energy is, and I take to that. And this gentleman hadn't learned any of his lines, and he was the producer, actor, whatever. And so he was like reading like lines off script and was like expecting me to react to whatever wasn't there. So it was a little hard to do that. So that's how it felt with that, being in Corcus. But I love Corcus, and I think I really want. So correct me if I'm wrong on this as well. Didn't he become evil?
Did he become evil?
Japanese version?
Wait.
Like
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That was on his your Sentai counterpart. Originally,
Yeah.
Jiraiya is actually half American, half Japanese. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't know?
That's really cool. No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Because
That's cool to know.
all right. Here's how it happened. Okay, I've seen it before. I actually did watch the full episode, and he speaks English very well. Okay.
I
There was
wanna play
4.
that character.
Yeah, there was like 4 of them at the start. Not all the Rangers were assembled yet. Jiraiya was the last one. He was in his cowboy outfit, he had rollerblades with them, and he was
Oh
kind of
no.
working. He was like working with the enemy for a brief moment, for a few minutes in the episode, and then at the end, the ancestors of the Kaku Rangers gave him his sword, and then he joined the team.
Ah, I like that.
Yeah.
I that's really cool. I could see me doing all of that stuff.
Yeah, me too. Same.
E3.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, other questions, Kwame?
Oh yeah. You know, in Power Rangers in Space, where the whole universe was about to come to an end.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was during part 1, right at the start of Countdown to Destruction. Yeah, we saw the Rangers, and we just saw Corcus is he's just doing lots of backflips, even though the whole team was outnumbered by lots of villains.
Wait, Kwame, was that the scene that also had the Phantom Ranger and the Blue Centurion getting attacked? Or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and that one too. Having all those villains all together, what was it like? Like to be outnumbered?
Well, I truthfully, I didn't shoot that episode.
You
So
that was
no, I didn't. No, it was a whole different thing. They didn't bring us back for that, and we were really disappointed that they didn't, because that would have been super fun. Especially having all the villains there. It's so cool. I want to be a villain at some point in time.
It's
Yeah,
just to have the experience.
They really do have fun.
yeah, dude. Oh, it's always fun to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
It is, especially when you're a good guy in life. You know, it's fun to play that. The opposite of what you do. You know,
It's either being bad or anti-hero.
Or to be neutral, ain't it?
Or neutral, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
You had another question, Kwame?
Yeah, just one more, right?
Oh, shoot.
All right. Since Corcus is the quiet type, and he's observing all the info, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you call him the team's strategist? He's like, there's always a guy on your team that always comes up with a good strategy to fight back. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I would say that he was the go-to for anyone if we run into any sort of conflicts that needed to be resolved without physical, violence. So I think he was always the one that was trying to figure out how we could do things. And I do believe that he's the one that actually helped figure out how to get David's character, David's character, right? Back to
that's
Billy.
right. Yeah,
Trying to
Billy.
get Billy back to being an adult again.
Or teenager again.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I mean, even though I can actually watch the full episodes on the Power Rangers YouTube channel, they're official. They're bringing all the seasons one by one. They've even got Alien Rangers too.
Sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I'm hoping
Yeah.
Hasbro kind of embraces, and maybe they'll come up with new things that might help us all come back and do some fun things. Hasbro, it seems like they're embracing the legacy extremely well. This whole new group of actors are really awesome as well. It's been fun to meet them.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
Yes, and now before we conclude, Alan, though, this is the part of the show where I'm gonna ask I'll ask the final question, and now my show is actually an open forum, and this is the part where I allow all my guest stars to say anything they like. You can talk, promote, hype anything you like. I'm giving you the proverbial microphone right now. The floor is yours, Alan.
Thank you. Well, I've written a couple of shows, and I've got a show that we're trying to take to New York to bring off Broadway. And so if anyone is out there listening and wants to be a producer, a backer in some sort of way, reach out to GoFundMe or on my Facebook page, and they can actually see how they can be part of that. I'm excited about being able to see people at Morphicon this year, and also at Ranger Stop in Florida. So there's a whole bunch of fun things coming out, and I'm just so happy to be able to do what I do, and I'm so glad that you guys get to do what you love doing. It's a great thing to be able to share each other's experiences and to be able to share our experiences with other people. So it's a really cool thing, and I'm so glad to be part of this whole thing. Thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. And
Yeah.
I just have a couple of things I just want to say. First off, Alan, thank you so much for an amazing interview. Thank you, Kwame, for coming on and helping me, I guess, co-host this episode. It's always
Anytime.
pleasure and privilege talking to both of you guys. And
Yeah.
say, Alan, like, even though we all know Power Rangers is fictional and you don't have the powers that you do in real life, but there is one incredible gift that you have. Like I said to many of my guest stars on this show, you have this incredible gift where you can make a 32-year-old man and make him feel like a 7-year-old or 6-year-old boy again after watching Power Rangers, Alien Rangers, any part of the franchise.
He's not
Wow,
wrong.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really awesome. I appreciate that. That's really cool.
Anytime. And one last thing before you go, and that is something that you deserve. And this is for all the childhood memories you gave, not only to myself, but to people like Kwame, to all 90s kids growing up. And that is, thank you, Alan. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bo.
And
You're welcome.
everybody.
It was a